across these plains and prairies, rocky mountain highs, fade off into the distance like ghost riders in the sky. Black smoke and white line, steel horses side by side. It's more than just a living, y'all. Hell, it's our way of life. We're the last of the cowboys, the giddy-up gone boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's a slow and dying breed, rolling like Jesse James, a modern-day outlaw game. If you're out here riding with me. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day. You're about to see the video on my delivery and what I now know to be a airplane refueler chassis down in Conley, Georgia. I did want to mention that yesterday, man, when I picked that thing up yesterday, my trailer was covered in snow. And I talked to Bobby, and Bobby brought out a couple shovels and some salt for the trailer. We got it shoveled off, got some salt put down, and JR, he works with Bobby. I just got the pleasure of meeting him yesterday for the first time. He backed the truck up on him, man. He hit that nail right on the head. Like, I really thought we were going to struggle yesterday, and JR just, he got up, I told him what he needed to do, and he hit that thing, lined it up perfect, and put it right up on first try. So kudos to you, JR. Good job. I appreciate the fast load, and it looks like you're going to be just as good as Bobby when it comes down to loading. So I appreciate that. So we had that trouble yesterday with which turned out to be no trouble at all to get that thing loaded. Then I went to delivery today, and you're about to see the video on the delivery. What I hadn't talked about, I've always talked about how I secure these loads, but I never talked about why I secure them that way. With these truck chassis, you want to tie down below the suspension. So anywhere below on your axles or the bottom of the axle mounts where they come down, A-arms or whatever, anything that's below the suspension. And the reason you want to do that is because as that thing drives down the road, as you're driving it down the road, it's going to bounce. And when it bounces, it's going to loosen up and tighten those chains and loosen and tighten those chains. And if you have snap binders, it'll actually pop them things open. For those of us that are using ratchet binders, it can actually take the hook off the chain when it's bouncing. So you got to be real careful about it. You could ratchet down those things so hard that you bottom out the suspension, but that's on a brand new unit. You don't want to be doing that. That's just leading to some possible damage. So the best way to do it, and why I do it off the axle, I exchange the back off the axles. The front I have no choice. I have to go above the suspension because there isn't anything to hook to. And I don't like doing it, but once you get the back tied in, I exchange off the axles on the back, and I get those nice and tight, and then I get the front, and I hook into the tow hooks that they provide, and then I pull down as hard as I can. But that's also pulling forward on that thing, so it's only going to let it go so far. So when it wants to bounce down the road, it can't really bounce as much because you're pulling forward as much as down. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I never brought it up on any of the other videos on why I secure it that way. So that's why. And really, if you're pulling any vehicle that has a suspension to it, that's what you want to do. You want to try to do your best to get below the suspension to get your securement. That thing's gonna move around going down the road. You're tied off below it. It's gonna move around and bounce, and it's gonna make you wonder what the heck's going on back there. But you're fine. Like that's the way you want to do it, and it's the best scenario for keeping your securement tight all the time going down the road. That's why I secure the way I do. I never talked about that before. I thought I'd bring it up. So here's the video on the delivery on that. I hope you enjoy. This was interesting getting in and out of this place, so you'll see a little bit of that. It was kind of tight. So hope you enjoy, and talk to you again here real soon. Sometimes I live my life like a hammered down reckless ride on hairpin midnight curves, no moon and no headlights, rain soaked and slippery as ice cubes and whiskey. Somehow you steer me clear of the wreck that I can be, with your hand on
my hand, girl. Your love steadies me. When I'm hell-bent on a crash and burn, you straighten out all my wrong turns, and you always lead me home. You keep my wheels on the road. It as fast as my lead foot that drives me wants to run. It's a wonder I ain't wound somewhere bent, twisted up. Girl, that's where I'd be without you to rescue me. Somehow you steer me clear of the wreck that I can be, with your hand on my hand. Your love steadies me. When I'm hell-bent on a crash and burn, you straighten out all my wrong turns, and you always lead me home. You keep my wheels on the road. You got me turned around. Girl, you're where I'm going now. Somehow you steer me clear of the wreck that I can be, with your hand on my hand. Your love steadies me. I'm hell-bent on a crash and burn. You straighten out all my wrong turns, and you always lead me home. You keep my wheels on the road. You keep my wheels on the road. Wheels on the road. Wheels on the road. Trucking, finger licking, trying to keep it in between the lines. Bird dogs are hunting, straight pipes are puffing. I'm loving this diesel life. The county mountie in the middle, think I just peed a little. Glad I ain't got no panties on. Don't need no bugs on my glass, bears on my ass, or pop singer singing country songs. Chicken trucking, big wheels there humming, high rate of fuel consumption, missing mama, needing loving, rolling with a wailing sound. Running like the southern shaker, I don't need no 40 acres to turn this rig around. I'm jacked up like a Chevy, but ain't heading to the levee. Lord have mercy sakes alive. On this high step and double clutching, gear jamming, chicken trucking, old school outlaw ride. Sticking tooth, picking possum, grinning, coffee sipping, roadshow passing through your town. A rambling gypsy on a road with 18 on the floor and 18 pounding on the ground. I don't need to see bubblegum machine, blue lights flashing bright. On this high ball and skids are crawling, 6 days without my darling, gonna make it home tonight.
All right, so you just saw the delivery on our chassis that we picked up in New Philly, Ohio, delivered in Conley, Georgia. Got that delivery made. I actually think, I said that's going to be a garbage truck, but based on where it went to a place that does something with fuel systems, so I'm guessing that was actually going to be an airplane refueler, I think. So got that delivered. A little tricky. Hopefully you saw some of me getting in and out of that place. That was interesting to get in and out of, but we got it done. Like super tight, but whatever. I guess that's the name of the game. So now I'm over in Ackworth, Georgia, and picking up what I believe, well, it's definitely going to be a dump truck or a garbage truck. I think there's one roll-off truck here. That might be it, but waiting on these guys to come out, show me which unit is the one I got. I guess they got to push it on, he said. So I'm assuming they're going to use that right there to push it on, and I'm not 100% sure. I think maybe that is our unit, but I couldn't get the door open on the thing to find out, so I thought maybe it was this ugly thing over here, but I opened that door and the VIN number's wrong, so I think it might be that one sitting over there, but it also could possibly be that roll-off truck right there, because they said it's a 26 yard, and I don't know how they figure size of garbage truck. So 26 yard could be a roll-off truck. I don't know. Could be either one of them two. We're waiting on them to come out and let me know. So as soon as they do, I'll get the camera out and I'll film us loading this thing. Should be interesting. They're telling me they're pushing it on, so this should be some good film. Talk to you then. You guys can't see this yet. We're pushing this thing up on.
And there's red man buzzing up a young man dragging a boat to the southwest coast of Florida. Get your barracuda. And there's a semi smoking like a steam machine, running hot up a mountain hauling gasoline. Huffing and a puffing, brothers, that ain't nothing. Cause in the get-gone lane, there's a mad redhead drinking double shot black, lipstick on the edge of a Starbucks cup, closing shoes in the bed of that truck. Ain't a set of taillights, she ain't passed, finger out the window, barefoot on the gas, she's hauling ass. Ain't nothing says ain't coming back like that. Feels like I'm sitting still, just a spinning my wheel, stuck in a traffic jam behind a red Trans Am. Dude's only doing 80, chasing after my baby. There goes a Lincoln, a beer train, hopper load of sweet grain, Cadillac, Hugos, guitars, pantyhose. God knows she's driving me crazy. I'm on a 911 highway patrol. Report a girl out of missing, running out of control. Tell her to turn her around, lay them spike strips down. See the get-gone lane, there's a mad redhead drinking double shot black, lipstick on the edge of a Starbucks cup, closing shoes in the bed of my truck. Ain't a set of taillights, she ain't passed, finger out the window, barefoot on the gas.
Alright, so what we're doing here, in case you couldn't hear us at all, what we're doing here is this piece right here, that piece right there is sticking out just a little bit too far for me to get reattached. So we're going to unbolt that thing, take that off there, and that should allow me to get reattached. Should be good to go. So while they're doing that, I'm going to chain some of it down and be right back. Yeah. Well, today turned out to be one of them days. Not super bad. You just saw me load up this garbage truck. That was a little tricky. They push it up on with, you saw them push the garbage truck up on with that thing, and it became apparent right away that this was not going to be as simple as just push this thing up on and be done with it. You saw in the video just now, you saw me measuring to see what the height was, just to check and see what was going on. There was that plate in the back that they ended up taking off. Didn't matter. They took it off, and it didn't make a darn bit of difference. It was still too tight. The back of that truck was still too tight for me. When my neck comes into the trailer, it kind of comes in at an angle like this until I get locked in. And then I pull my pin and I pull out from underneath the neck, and then it kind of stands up. You saw that in one of my videos. The dump truck the military dump truck that I pulled, I had to do some finagling to make it fit. Very similar situation here. What we ended up having to do in the end was I carry a couple 6x6s that I use for a few different things, and we ended up having to move that whole. I ended up having to unchain it. We had to move it back a little bit. I threw my 6x6s in, and we pushed that thing up onto the 6x6s, the steer tires, because underneath that front bumper there was a skid plate, and that skid plate hung down about 6-7 inches or so, and it was hitting the angle of the back of my trailer. It was hitting that as they were pushing it back and stopping it from being able to go any further, which stopped me from being able to reattach. So the solution was we backed it off a little bit. I put the blocks down. They pushed it up onto the blocks. That raised that skid plate up and got it over top of the back deck so that we could squeeze it in a little bit further. That ended up working. You saw me measuring how high it was. I was measuring that because I knew putting a 6-inch block underneath that thing may or may not get us into being over height. We got lucky. It didn't put us over height. However, I got reattached to it, got it all chained down, got reattached to it, hooked up my airlines, hit my buttons, checking, filling trailer back up with air, and I looked at my suspension load gauge, and that's where this got interesting. So right away, I knew as soon as I saw that suspension load gauge up near 70, 71 pounds, I knew my drive tires were standing at about 40,000 pounds roughly. So I got a hold of the customer that I got this from. I said, listen, I don't know that you know this or not, but this garbage truck that it's loaded, like it actually has garbage in it. And they said, yeah, well, we bought it at an auction, online auction, and sometimes we don't know. Like these trucks break down on the road, and then they tow them back to their company, and if they choose not to fix them and just sell them like they did with this one, then there's no way to unload it until the thing's working. So it's loaded. So the weight that they gave me, it's not even close. So I'm going to show you a scale ticket. What I ended up doing was I called the customer. I told him, I said, listen, it's a single unit. I don't see any reason why we can't permit this for overweight. So I'll go ahead and get the permits on it. I'll get you a scale ticket on it. But I just need to know that somebody's paying for these permits, that it's not me. So they agreed. They said, no problem at all. Get the scale ticket on it. Send us a scale ticket. Get the permits. Send us the receipts for the permits, and we'll reimburse for that. So that worked out really good. Ended up being, I'll put the scale ticket up here, but it ended up being, I think, 88,500 pounds gross. So got the permits on it. Most states, I got to check Virginia yet. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just inside of Virginia right now. The first exit that I came to, I stopped inside Virginia. So I got to check Virginia and see if I need signs and flags. I don't think I do. I haven't in any state that I've been in so far. Now, I don't think Virginia requires me or not, but I got to check and make sure. So that's what I'm going to do in the morning. Chaining this thing, I really wish I could get out. It's super dark, and I took a couple pictures and I put them up right before I started this this video. So I really wish I could have got some footage of chain. Maybe I will tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see in the daylight. But it's so dark right here that very difficult for me to get footage. What I ended up doing for chaining on this thing was I went off the axles, and instead of pulling forwards and backwards like I normally do, I pulled toward the middle. So the front axle, which is toward the back of my trailer, I pulled it toward the center of my trailer, and then the back axle, I pulled it toward the center of the trailer. And what I did there was just like I talked about earlier in the video about why I chain things the way I do. I chained it off the axle below the suspension, and I ended up throwing an extra chain on the back. I call it the Virginia chain because Virginia likes to pick on securement. So I threw a Virginia chain on the back, simply there just for the extra securement, so I don't get bothered by Virginia. But that one I just went up through the bumper, up over the top, and back down the other side of the bumper and tied on both sides. Put 2 binders on it, 1 on each side, just to make sure it stays tight. But there you go. I mean, that's how a week can change real quick. It's not going to change much. It did throw me off about 3 hours today, so I'm not going to make delivery as early as I thought tomorrow. Hopefully, loading at the port, if you don't get there by lunch, you're going to be there till 1 o'clock waiting on them to come back from lunch. So I'm just trying to time this now to where I just get there at 1 o'clock, and I'll be able to get loaded right away. So I don't think it's going to really affect a whole lot, but it is, you know, this is how it works. When you're hauling goofy stuff like this, we ended up being a little heavier than we thought, and we got permits, and I'm rolling. So that's all there is to it. I hope everybody has a good night. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna try to video with delivery tomorrow, and then my pickup at the port. So stay tuned for that. I don't expect there to be any problem, but I'm interested to see how they're gonna pull this thing off the trailer. But I hope everyone has a great night. Hope you have a good day tomorrow. Most of you will probably be watching this tomorrow morning, so I hope you have a good day, and I look forward to seeing your guys' comments, and I appreciate everybody watching. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Right across these plains and prairies, Rocky Mountain highs, fade off into the distance like ghost riders in the sky. Black smoke and white line, steel horses side by side. It's more than just a living, y'all. Hell, it's our way of life. We're the last of the cowboys.